Guys, what is going on? Coming at you with another little story time video, something kind of interesting. Sometimes I look over old cases and things that happened just to give people perspective, and anything that you find from shootings or self-defense type shootings can help you with your knowledge about how things work in the justice system if you ever have to use your firearm. So what we're talking about here was a case from 2018 in Clearwater, Florida. I'm going to tell you what happened to the shooter, and I think he would have got charged regardless, but I'm going to tell you why you should always get a lawyer. I'm going to tell you statements this guy said that the court used against him that you would never believe that a prosecutor would use against someone, and how you have to watch what you say. And I'll tell you why I think the guy would have gotten charged anyway, the shooter. So this is what happened. This guy pulls into a convenience store. He had later stated that every time he goes there a lot. He lives in the neighborhood. People park in the handicap spot that aren't handicapped. And he told detectives after the shooting that he had a pet peeve about people parking in a handicap spot. That's not the worst statement that I want to talk to you about of what the prosecutor used against him. There's another statement that I'm going to tell you later that he used that, you know, you really wouldn't think the courts would use that against you, but they did. So this guy pulls up to this convenience store. There's a white SUV, and I think it was only one handicap spot there. I could be mistaken, but there was a white SUV with the female in the driver's seat. Her boyfriend was in the store. He didn't see this. He doesn't really know. She could have had kids or, 8 people or whoever with her, or it could have just been her just pulling up to the store. He didn't know this. So he comes up on it after she's already sitting there in the lot alone in the driver's seat. The boyfriend is in the convenience store, and he gets out of his car, and before he goes in, he goes up to the SUV. Which you should never do. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. Some people want to get right to the point, so I don't want to branch off. I'll tell you later what to do in situations like this. So he goes up to the SUV, approaches the driver's side window, and I don't really see from the video that he's yelling or anything. He looks like he's talking like me, and basically telling her that she shouldn't be parked in a handicap spot. She doesn't have a placard. And the lady goes from 0 to 100, the female. She starts yelling, going off on the guy. And I believe the guy steps back once. I can't tell you that for sure. But she just starts going off on him. I think he moves back a little bit from the window. I can't remember for sure. You'll see the video. And meanwhile, while this is going on, the boyfriend comes out of the store. So because the boyfriend hears the female screaming, cursing, going off, he comes from the side and blindsides this guy, sprints, and shoves this guy as hard as he can. In my opinion, it was as hard as he can. Like if you were tackling somebody in football without grabbing a hold of them. So, this guy, who wasn't a big guy, he falls and does a half roll on the ground, sustains 2 injuries. Never even knew this was coming. Had no idea what the situation was or how many people were there or anything. He was pretty quick, because as he just has enough mindset to get his bearings from what just happened, he immediately draws and comes up with the gun, both hands on it, as he's on the ground. The guy that pushed him down hesitates for a second and takes a step back. One shot is fired, hits him in the chest. The guy grabs his chest, runs into the store, and the guy pretty much hits center mass right in the chest. He runs into the store, and he dies. Now, what I found kind of curious too, which was very odd, was this female that went off and argued and, you know, basically ramped it up 100% when he asked her about parking in that handicap spot. After the boyfriend was shot and dying, while all this was going on, she gets in the SUV and moves it from the handicap spot to another spot. So, I don't know if she was thinking she could help matters, but she was too late on that. The guy gets taken to the police station for questioning and stuff, and the video was clear and the video was close and it was overhead, and you could see the guy take a step back before he was shot. But being in the situation where your adrenaline's going, your bearings are off, and your perspective from the ground, some said that the shooting could be justified even if the guy took a step back, because we're looking at it from an overhead opposite side angle, and the shooter's perspective was having just sustained 2 injuries, rolled on the ground, and was at ground level when he drew his gun. So there were some that were saying that it would still be justified. Florida is a stand your ground state, but there is no such thing as standing your ground if the man retreats. You are no longer standing ground when someone retreats. You're only standing ground as someone advances. Now, had the guy that pushed him down when he drew the gun, had the guy stepped forward an inch and that guy filled him full of holes, he would have been justified in that shooting. So there were some different things I want to talk to you about. There was also a question that the jury asked the judge, said they didn't understand about Florida self-defense law, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. So what was the thing that the court used against this guy? What did he say that the prosecutor took and said, we're going to use this to show that this guy, that the shooter, is at fault for the altercation? Well, what this man said during questioning, what the shooter said during questioning, was when they asked him about approaching the vehicle and what he thought was going to happen, they asked him if he was looking for an altercation or if he was trying to get a rise out of someone or revenge for them parking in a handicap spot. His answer was, shrugs his shoulders and says, I've never been in a fight in my life. Never. So, what the prosecutor did was, the prosecutor went to court and said in front of the jury, this guy told us unequivocally that he had never been in a fight in his life. Therefore, we can conclude that the only reason he approached this vehicle in a handicapped spot was because he knew he had his gun as backup in case something happened, because he doesn't fight. And they actually got traction with that statement. They said if he didn't have his gun, he never would have approached this vehicle out of fear of retaliation from the driver or the people that could have been in the car. And they actually got some traction from that. He did get a manslaughter charge and is in prison right now. I believe that was handed down in 2019. I got more to tell you about what the jury asked of the judge, a question about self-defense. If you want to see this video, here's what you type in Google. Maybe I'll link it below. I'll try to link the video below. You type in Florida handicap parking spot shooter, and this will come up. I'll try to link that video below for you guys. Let me read you a little paragraph of Florida self-defense law, which had these jurors questioning the judge to go more in depth about this, which the judge would not do. The only thing the judge did was reread this. This is really a lengthy statute, but they condensed it down. The statute generally says a shooting is justified if a reasonable person under those circumstances would believe they are in danger of death or great bodily harm. But it also says the shooter could not have instigated the altercation. So basically the question was from the jurors was, did the shooter instigate it by approaching the SUV with the woman because no violence started from that point? The only violence started from the male coming from the side that had no idea what was going on. So what I'm trying to tell you is had it been the man in the driver's seat and he approached the male, and the male from that point got out and said, now we're gonna fight, I'm gonna beat you up, whatever, that would seem like you could use that as an instigation, right? Him approaching the vehicle. But since the male didn't even know what the conversation was about and came from the side, did the shooter actually instigate that sideline shooting that was separate from him approaching the window? So that is a tough question. I can understand those jurors asking that question. That was a smart jury. Basically they said, hey, this guy did approach the vehicle, but he was sidelined from someone that he hadn't had any dealing with, and they didn't even know what was going on. So ultimately, the judge just reread the statute and left it at that. And I can understand that, because a judge could say, this is what it means, explain it, and it could push the verdict either way. You can't do that being a judge. Okay, so let me give you some tips about this, my opinions. Yours may vary. I do not like it when I'm out shopping or whatever and see someone parking in a handicapped spot. The fines where I live are really pretty severe, up to a $500 fine. But you don't approach someone, even if you're a police officer, you're government, federal worker, and you're off duty, you don't approach someone because they don't know who you are or what your job is. Let me tell you guys something, just a little fact of life. The same people that are young and healthy, or mid-age and healthy, and park in handicap spots when they don't need to and they don't have a placard in their car, those are the first people that are going to start trouble with you if you approach them. They're entitled, and if you get near them, they're going to do just what this female did. They're going to go off on you and take it 0 to 100. Never do this. If it bothers you that bad, you can call the local police department. Yeah, of course, it's a very low priority call. So by the time the police officer gets there, who's ever's freed up at the time, they'll probably be gone. You could come to a situation where there happens to be a police officer nearby, or the person's shopping a long time and the cop gets there in time and he gives them a ticket on the windshield. Other than that, do not take it upon yourself to approach someone, because that's just not the way to do it, because things can go sideways. Even if you don't have a gun, somebody in that vehicle could step out with a weapon, a gun, anything, and like they did with this guy. They used him having his gun against him and never having been in a fight. They used that against him. Told the jury that because this man stated to us that he had never been in a fight in his life, we can conclude that the only reason he approached that vehicle was because he had a gun for backup. So there you go, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this case. It was a very publicized case. I just happened to see something about it recently, and I started looking back into it. And I just wanted to let you guys know what was used against him. Now, if you're ever involved in a shooting, and even though this guy most likely would have got convicted no matter what, a lawyer could have helped him get a reduced sentence. You always want to get a lawyer, because if you are ever involved in a shooting, with the adrenaline that's going to be going in your system and the shock that you're going to experience, some guys don't. Yeah, you have to applaud those guys. But some guys don't do that. But the majority, 90% of the people, will experience this. You may say things you don't even remember. Like, let's just give an example. Let's say some guy came at you and you felt that there was fear of great bodily injury or death. You were totally in the right to pull your firearm. And you pulled your firearm, and this guy that's on drugs had asked you for money and you said no. He pulls out a knife. You see the silver blade shine in the night. Comes at you. You draw your gun just in time and shoot him. And then the detectives take you to the station and you say things like, yeah, I just wasn't for sure if I should pull my gun or not. Now, your mindset is thinking about 100 different things, and you're just trying to be honest with a detective and just say, you know, you might have felt scared. You might have felt worried about the court system. It didn't mean that you didn't feel that that guy was going to kill you. So what will happen is the detectives will take that and use it against you and go to court and say, this guy told us that he didn't even know if he should pull his gun. Does that show you someone that was in fear of their life, immediate danger? Or does that show you someone that was out to just kill a man when he had the chance? All right, guys, hope you found this video informative. A lot of people like these story times, so I will continue to do them for you. All right, guys, until next time, this is DOF and Agar, and we are out.